Clay Mitchell, how are you?
Doing great, Dom. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to have you on the line. I'll tell you, you're what are you? You're the megaphone to a very popular topic right now.
Well, thank you. It's quite an honor to be called that. It's, it's a great opportunity. You know, one of the things we've talked about for years in Skills USA is we're the best kept secret in
Yeah.
the nation, and that's not a good title to have. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on the podcast this morning and have a chance to talk to your listeners and followers.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here, Clay. And in a second, we'll get to your background, but let's state the problem that we see that you are
Mhm.
here to help us solve. How's that?
That's perfect.
So
Look forward to
anybody
it.
listening out there, if you're saying to yourself, I can't find people, I can't find enough people, I can't find good people. If you have those questions, I think Clay has got a couple answers for you. So Clay, what with that kind of intro, here's my standard transition. Who the heck are you? And why is it that you're speaking to this group of contractors all around the world?
Well, great. So my name is Clay Mitchell. I am the state director for an organization called SkillsUSA California. And I also sit on the board for that organization at the national level in our nation here in the United States. We have about 385,000 students across the United States. In
Wow.
California, we are the largest state association, and we have a little over 43,000 members in our state alone. And so
Wow.
we have access to a number of students. These are all students that are interested in careers of some sort. We cover everything, but certainly woodworking, manufacturing, production, those are all parts of what we do. And we have access to a large number of those students.
So there's
I also
385,000 students like that who are going through the school system waiting to get into the trades of some sort.
Absolutely, yeah.
Huh.
And it sounds like a huge number, but quite honestly, when you look around, and I know locally your folks are probably looking for people that are looking to work.
Yeah.
And so while it's a big number, we're always growing and trying to find ways to connect to business and industry, which is why I was so interested in this opportunity today, is trying to get our students connected and our programs connected to local businesses and industries.
Just for some comic relief or some levity to this topic, I went to your website, skillsusa.org, and the first thing on that page is a TikTok challenge.
Yeah.
A TikTok is not a candy, Clay.
It is not
Not
a
a candy. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that would be Tic Tac. Yes,
That's
I
right.
do know the difference.
Look at us. We're so cool. We know the difference between TikTok and Tic Tacs.
And you know, I think the people that know TikTok probably don't know Tic Tac. So, you know, it's a matter of perspective.
That's a good point. There's a couple people out there confused. What the heck's a Tic Tac? Yeah. But what that tells me is your organization is actively trying to stay engaged with this student group as they're moving through the ranks of student and then into some sort of career for their life. So
Yeah, we definitely are. I mean, I think, you know, we've got a few, as we see them, customers. Obviously, from our programmatic side, we are reaching out to teachers and of career and technical education programs. And we are also reaching out to the students that are looking for careers, because we think those people are the products that we produce for our customers, which are hopefully the folks that are listening and watching this podcast. We have human resources that we develop, and it's deeper than just giving them the skill or training them in the trade. It really, our organization focuses on helping those students make good choices so that the career that they're training for is actually something they want to do. And then helping them become good employees or good craftspeople, you know, teaching them ethics, teaching them honesty, teaching them about how to get a job, the things, you know, being on time, being courteous to customers, doing critical thinking skills so that you know what you're doing when somebody says, this is the widget we want you to produce. And as you run across challenges, you know, solving those problems and making it maybe a better way to produce that widget or whatever it is they're being asked to do.
Yeah. So amazing that there's support for this. I wonder, you know, Skills USA relies on the technical skills, and you guys develop skills for all sorts of trades, right? The culinary arts, so cooking, baking, all those things, all the way to woodworking, electrical, plumbing, everything, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we've got over 110 different skill areas that we work in, and certainly trying to help those folks. So we're a one-stop shop when it comes to training individuals for their careers and hopefully making them successful in their lives. And we rely on business and industry input to be successful at that. And by that, I mean, we have local advisories throughout the United States, local advisory committees where educators will meet with their local business and industry members, and they will discuss their curriculum. They'll talk about what the current trends are in business and industry. They'll talk about what the needs are for business and industry. So as they're preparing these young individuals, and by the way, we teach everybody from middle school to high school to college, post-secondary. So it's not just kids that we're working with. It is young adults and adults as well. But providing them with the skill set they need to be successful in their careers, and hopefully getting input from business and industry folks like your listeners that are looking for those products.
Well, a couple of my listeners are listening very carefully now because they're saying to themselves, Clay, how do I get at that table? So let's do this for a second, because the topic of the show, because I'm sure everybody knows now, Clay and I had pre-meeting where we met and said hi, but we also structured a topic to talk about today. And the topic that we landed on was how to get local labor by being smart, ... and giving back. And Clay, I really like the way that you presented that to me in our first meeting. So maybe let's develop that topic here so that, because I want my audience to understand how to take advantage, and I say that in a positive way, how to take advantage of this opportunity, helping these students, but also helping their own company find the right kind of people as they're aging into the workforce.
Sure. Yeah. So mentioned those advisory committees a little bit, which is one way of doing it. And what does that look like to you? Well, local schools in your communities, our programs, SkillsUSA, you're not going to drive by a building and go, hey, there's SkillsUSA, I see the sign. We're not like your business in that you promote and market your business and your products. We are part of the public school system in the United States. And by the way, there's a SkillsUSA Canada as well. So this organization exists north of the border as well. But we are part of the public school system. So simple ways of doing it, if you're doing a Google search, something like that, look up the schools in your area and reach out to them. If you want to go a little bit deeper in that process, you could look up the school in your area and certainly type in CTE, that stands for Career and Technical Education, and it's going to pull up the programs that they have there. If you look at that list of programs and your company or the work that you do is not listed, then that's probably not a good place to stop and talk about what you do. However, in some cases, if you were to stop or reach out to that school and say, my name is Clay Mitchell and I have a local cabinet making shop, or I have a local welding shop, and I noticed that you have these programs, but I didn't see welding listed. We employ 75 people. We could really use employees in our business. Starting that conversation at the local level can actually spark an interest, and that school may develop a program designed to help you out. So it's not an impossible task, but the easier ones are obviously you click on the school, you take a look at that, and it has a program that's listed for your area. You reach out to that individual, start the conversation, and they're looking for your help too, as I mentioned before. They're looking for your input and information because that's important to them to stay current. Other ways, obviously, the giving back piece too is, they want your knowledge and skills, but they're also looking for what the latest technology is. Many times the schools may not have the latest technology.
They can't fit a CNC in their limited space, and they'd love to see yours and maybe come for a tour. And
you got it. And so, in the United States, we have a manufacturing day, which is the first Friday in October every year. Get involved in a manufacturing day, and you're essentially opening the doors to your facility. And, you let people know, and they'll show up at your doorstep. They'll come through. You can give them a tour. You can talk to them about what you have available. That gives, it's the old fashioned field trip. We used to call those.
That's right. A field trip. Yeah.
But it's focused on your industry. So, I mean, it gets those folks out there to see you. It gives you a chance to sparkle and shine. And the other side of that is that I've seen over the years, that I've been doing this, is the business and industry people actually, they get excited about it. It's like they want it. You're showing them what you do. And so your employees feel better about themselves. It's not, I'm just doing this day in and day out. It's like, hey, we're going to have a bunch of kids come by and visit today. So let's clean the place up. Let's, show that we have a value, because many times, laborers don't think, or folks in industry don't think that what they do is really important. But realistically, it's extremely important what you do out there. And so it will breathe some life many times into your employees, because it makes them feel like, hey, I'm doing something cool. I'm doing something good. It's a really cool phenomenon. Not only are the students excited about seeing what you have to do and what you offer, but it gives your employees a chance to, kind of puff their chest up and go, yeah, this is what we do. And this is important. And you wonder, you ever wonder why your car doesn't drive down the road straight? This is why, and this is how we fix that. And so it gives them a little bit of chance to.
This is how we build a drawer box, which we do 80 times a day. We think everybody knows how to do it, but they don't. And a kid, sorry to say a kid, but a young student is going to come through and go, I didn't realize that's how drawer boxes were made. I didn't realize this is how you painted. I didn't know what a face frame cabinet was. And now I do. And I feel smarter.
Absolutely. And that was my experience down in Southern California a couple of years ago. COVID has put us on hold for a little bit, but we continue our programs. And we were doing a manufacturing day, and we actually were touring a facility that made drawer boxes. And so the kids drove up on the bus, and they get off, and we welcomed them. The owner welcomed them, and gave them something to eat. And then they took them through tours inside, and the kids came out of there like, oh my God, I didn't know what it took to do this. And the automation was incredible, and the environment was clean and nice. And it just, they were astounded by, not only the fact that you got a product at the end of the day, and they each gave them a little cell phone holder that they made through the process and that sort of thing, which was kind of cool. It was a takeaway, but it ignited their interest in doing something that they had no idea. They drove by the building probably, 50 times a year and never knew what happened inside.
Right.
And yet they opened their drawers all the time, and it worked. And they figure, well, it's just part of the house, and it's no big deal. But now they know that there's a process behind that. There's careers behind that. It's a multi-million-dollar business. I mean, there's all those things that go along with it, that all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, I can do this. I can be part of this group, and I can make money and have a living.
Right. It's reality. How many times, and I'm guilty of this for sure, I'm sitting in math class and I'm like, why do I need to calculate the volume of a box or something? It's all theory, right? For years and years as a student, you're doing theory, and then you walk into a shop and it's reality, and you're like, oh, that's a box. And I could be making that box, so I'm going to need to know X, Y, or Z. See, I just introduced algebra there. But now it makes sense. Like, why I need to learn this stuff makes sense. So as a student, maybe it's the first time I've seen something actually being made. I've seen math at work. How many of us grow up in apartments or with parents that don't have a shop in the back or a garage where they can fiddle around, but maybe they really want to with their hands, and they come and see it and think, wow, this could be a career for me. And maybe this owner seems nice. This shop seems great. It's close to my house.
Yeah, what you say is really true, and it resonates with a lot of kids. I mean, I was one of those kids. I was not a tradesman, by the way. I was a sports medicine specialist, but for many, many years before I got into education. But, math, I was not a big math guy. And it didn't, when my teachers back in those days, many, many years ago, said solve for X, it's like, well, what the heck is X? And why? It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Why do I care what X is? And, C plus Y minus, it's like, it didn't, that abstract idea and that abstract formula was pointless to me. And so you got through it, and I got through math. Well, one day, I was fiddling around in the sports medicine world, and it was like trying to figure out how to make somebody stronger. How do you do that? And so there was a calculation that you needed to do. And then I went, oh, okay, math's starting to make sense. There's the X, I want to do this. And
here's the zero clearance hinge. Why are we making a hidden bookcase? And okay, now,
absolutely. And so what we found over the years is those visual kinesthetic learners, that's an education term. So sorry to bore you with that.
No, tell us what visual and kinesthetic is, please, because I think it's important here.
Sure, it's students that learn by seeing things and doing things. So
Right. They have to touch
visual,
something. They have to hold a
that's
piece of
right.
wood and turn it around in their hands. That's kinesthetic, right? That's touching it.
That's right. And I bet you all of the people that are listening, or the majority of them, are visual kinesthetic sorts of folks.
Lends
They
itself to
can,
the trades. Yeah.
that's right. They can visualize things and do things, and they look at the problem and they can figure it out. They're probably, that is probably the best way to describe them. And so these students are in the same situation.
Hmm.
And so as they're going through school and they're taking the required academic elements of math and social science and English or whatever those topics may be in your area, they may not be doing well in those classes and they may be struggling. But in math, for example, in carpentry and woodworking, there's a lot of math. I mean, if you start looking at your businesses and the things that you do and the tolerances and how you set up machines, those are all math delivered things or derived
Right.
things. And so all of a sudden, like me, those students that are early on can go, wait a minute, I like carpentry. Well, when the carpenter teacher or the math, the person starts talking about, okay, we have to measure this and do this, and measure twice, cut once, sort of a thing and mentality, the math clicks with them. And so
Right.
not only are they good at what they're learning through their trade, but it makes their other education pieces fall into place, because
Love it.
now they have to know math. And so math now becomes something that, oh, okay, I can go back and solve for X because I know that X is important in my job. But it's hard sometimes to get your mind around that idea of how do you make that work? And why
Yeah.
does that, why do I have to take that math class? I'll never use it again. Well, you will, and you'll figure it out as soon as you go to find a job. And it's like, oh, okay,
So,
I gotta know that stuff.
so right now we've got listeners, Clay. They're in
Mhm.
Hawaii. They're in Oregon. They're in Rhode Island. They're in, I don't know, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Louisiana. And they're saying, okay, I think I agree with you. We should get involved. We should do something here. Maybe there's students. And how do I do that? And maybe before we do that, let me back up on my own question. If we've got a person who's producing $600 worth of product a day, and we're going to work, what's that, 250 some odd days a year, you're talking about somebody who's going to contribute $150,000 in production to your company. So if all I get is one new employee through this Skills USA, coming out of the school program, school system and into the workforce, I'm going to have somebody producing stuff I need. It's worth it, even if we get one new employee a year. So with that said, if I'm in a state and I'm like, hey, how do I get involved? How do I find out more? What do I do?
Well, there's through the Skills USA system and through our national website, skillsusa.org,
Hmm.
there is a place where you can go where you can identify or look up the state director, a person like me in that state
Yeah.
that can give you access to the programs throughout that state. There's no cost for any of that. I mean, they can help direct you to schools in your area. You reach and go, hey, Clay, I live in Anaheim, California. I'm looking for cabinet makers. Do you have any programs down here? So rather than you do that search that I talked about earlier, you reach out to the state director who can do that work for you, and they will help you identify where the local
Mm.
resources are. I think that's the best connection that I can give you. And I'm going to, skillsusa.org there. If you type in the little search, there's a little box in the right-hand corner at the top of the page. It says search. If you type in state directors to that little box and
Right.
hit the button, it will pull that page up. It'll give you choices and you just find a page, look at it. And it has a person like me in every state. Some of them are broken up where it says high school and college post-secondary.
Oh,
That
wow.
just means they have a
Loads, loads of them.
director for high school people and they have a director for college post-secondary level people that you can talk to. So there's about 157 of us around
There's
in
lots.
the United
I'm
States.
scrolling through it now.
Yeah.
And there's even, if you want to start a chapter, there's things that can be done there. But there's so many directors listed. So I guess the point is, you got to reach out. You got to do something. Reach out there. I just see the one for Tennessee here in front of me. Just reach out and talk to that person and get the conversation started. No matter where you are in the state, there's high schools,
Yep.
there's college, trade colleges. We need to get involved and really get ahead of get ahead of the curve and be the first choice for the employee when they're looking for work. Because if they toured my facility, they're going to think I'm the new standard for what a cabinet shop should be, or a furniture shop.
Sure. There's another story I want to tell you a little bit about, and tell your listeners about. So there's another way to get involved. That's obviously the direct way of looking, but we run these contests at our regional and state levels throughout our individual states every year. Every year we run a regional event, a state event, and a national event. And one of the things we need are business and industry people to serve as judges and do the assessments on the students that come through those events.
Nice. Yeah.
And I want to share the story because it really is, it shows somebody who's being very proactive. So this large company down in Florida, he's our technical committee chair for our national carpentry contest. And he has been doing that for years. They help provide the judges for the event. They help provide a lot of supplies and materials for the event and that sort of thing. And I talked to him a few years ago because I sit on the national board. And I said, so, first off, thank you so much for all you do for our students and our programs. I said, but, why? Why do you do this?
What's in it for you?
There's a lot of things you could do. And he says, well, I'll tell you this. He says, I'm the chair of this committee. And I let everybody know, all my judges, because there's multiple companies. It's not just his company on the committee. He says, I tell everybody right up front, I'm the chair of this committee, and I will hire the gold medalists from our national contest. So there's silver, bronze, gold medalists. That's first, second, third. Yeah. And he, every year at the end of the contest, he offers the gold medalists a job with his company. And he says, they're the best employees I have. I have about 37 of them currently employed over the past 8 years. And they are all moving up into management positions with our company. He says they come here, they have the skills needed to be a good carpenter, but he says the other part they have are those soft skills, those ability to get along with others, work in teams, the critical thinking, the ethics. He says, so quite honestly, he says, I love to do this and I love to see the students and I love to support the programs. He says, but I'm a little self-centered. I really get that best employee every year out of the program. He says they can have the silver and bronze medalists, which are also amazing students, by the way.
Of course.
That would be the second and third best student in the nation. So there's a lot of great kids, and that's just the pinnacle of where it is. Those contests exist in every state, just like I was mentioning before. So there's a gold medalist from Tennessee. There's one from whatever state you're in those contest areas. And that's another place to reach out and give back and participate. Gives you a little, you, the listener, the ability.
Well, I'll tell you what, it gives you a lot of social media. If we go to the social media, you and I were joking about TikTok before, but imagine that you were the judge for your local. I'm not saying it's going to happen in Clay. You're not promising it can happen. I'm just saying it's a potential. But let's use Tennessee as an example, because for some reason that landed on the middle of my page. So you're in Tennessee, you've got a wood shop, you volunteered to be a judge. Okay, there's one great social media post. Dominic Rubino, now judging student competition for cabinetry for Tennessee. Okay, absolutely. Then, of course, on the days leading up to the event, you've got a couple more social media posts, and they're those silly ones. So excited to be a judge at the upcoming event at the Marriott downtown, blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards, there's a picture of me with the students. And then afterwards, there's a picture of me hiring the local student. You've got 6 or 7 great and very powerful social media hits that say you're a community-involved business, that you're giving back to the community, that you're open for business, that you're open for, and none of them are magic. None of them change the world, but all of them are a tiny brick in the wall. Yeah. That lead towards pointing back to your company.
And exactly. And you haven't invested any financial resources. You've invested your time and you've invested your personality, but certainly those are huge things when it comes to, it's social media, again, for the younger generation, and I say that as an older guy, is enormous. That's how they communicate. That's how they connect to things. And so like the TikTok challenge, that's because that's what that gets their attention. And so if you can become part of that through your company, through the social media pieces of it, they'll look at you and they will see that that's an opportunity for them and they'll connect with you.
I wonder just the opportunity in donating scrap, ends and pieces of millwork and molding that we've cut from another project, what the kids can do with those. We've had Chris Valenti from CK Designs on the show twice now. Do you know Chris?
Heard the name. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's kind of got his own program that he sends out a box of random pieces of wood and then he has a contest. But my point is that what we have as cutoff ends that now go to the landfill or the incinerator, that can be revalued back to a school for crafts for the kids to work, the students. I don't say kids in a derogatory, for students to work on, right?
Absolutely. And you know, that's a great example of things that you, as an industry, you do those things. You know, it's easier, you throw it in a big bin, somebody comes on a wholesale way, which you paid for, and they recycle it or they get rid of it.
Can they take sawdust? Tell me this. Can they take, what can they?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's any programs that are taking
No, I
right
don't
now,
think so.
but maybe we can come up with one. But those tail offs and things are really important things for them. I mean, for you, it's just a piece of scrap. For a teacher, it's an amazing opportunity to share something with a student to help teach a safety method, or to do something where a student may just, you know, as you shared, that idea of giving them scrap and saying, okay, here's the challenge, make something out of this.
Yeah.
We're going to
Today
award
we're
a
going to make
prize
picture
for the person
frames.
that does it.
Yeah. You know, there.
That's right.
How to cut a mitered angle and square and true. Boom. They've got all the wood they need. And if they mess it up, who cares?
And those kinds of resources are precious for schools. I mean, it's, for you, it's waste. For them, it's a product that was going to cost them money to do something with. So just never underestimate the value of the things that your business and industry has to offer for the program, as well as the students at the local level, because it really is truly amazing for them. And you're going to get your name in front of school board members. You're going to get your name in communities, as you said, and that starts to grow too. You know, pretty soon maybe you have more applicants than you have jobs, but hey, you know, maybe you create more jobs and you make more money. Who knows?
Well, right now, Clay, the market is flip-flopped. There is lots of business to be had, and there's just not enough people. And good, you know, at this point, I've even dropped to saying enough people, but we should be looking for good people that can add to the fabric of our company, to the culture of our company. Because we're not just looking for warm bodies. We need quality people who are working on great teams, building things that we're all proud of. And it's easy to get sales now. It's harder to find people to help us deliver on those sales.
Well, and we like to think, SkillsUSA likes to think that we're your answer to that problem. We like to think that, you know, our program is producing those individuals who can be your employees that can add to your company and help it jump to the next level, because they do come to you with those skills. Not only the ability to put the parts together and cut the parts and do those things, but really work in teams, and they have an understanding of what it takes to be successful in that job. So, you know, they're not there to take over your company. They're there to help it become better. And they're there to, you know, share in your experiences and your wealth of having a career. So yeah, that's what we like to think we do. And that's what we bring to you.
I love it. And I think it's great that we've had a chance to uncover this and open it up. I have to thank the AWFS for introducing me to you, Adria and Angelo. That's great. I love having these kinds of connections. Yeah, excellent. If we want to get in touch with you, Clay, or, you know, our own state level director, how do we do that? How do we take the first step?
Great. So, you know, I'll give you my email address is pretty easy. It's clay.clay.mitcell@skillsusaca.org. I know that's a big long one. If you can't remember that because it's too long, you go to the skillsusa.org website. You click in that upper right-hand corner, state directors. It'll take you there. You find, I'm from California. I'm the state director here. Or if you want to connect with me in your state, you find the person that is in your state. Click on their email address or give them a shout on the phone, because their phone numbers are listed as well. We'd love to connect with you and help you out and see what we can do to solve your issues, and also help us out as well, because it is a mutually beneficial partnership.
Yeah, I think this is great. And you know, hey, my challenge to everybody here is be the first person from your state to reach out. If you're listening to the show right now or watching it on YouTube, whatever you're doing, just go to skillsusa.org and click and send an email. Emails are free. There's no resistance. There's no friction here. And Clay, you and your team are doing great things, trying to help students move into the workforce. We need workers. There should be no reason you don't get 100, maybe 1,000 people. Now, we know it's not going to be 1,000, but why not?
Yeah.
Get one person per state taking part in this, and be the front of the line when a student is out there entering the workforce. Why wouldn't they come work for you? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Clay, thank you very much for this. I love it. Thanks so much for sharing the information and being with us today. And I hope my listeners have some actions to take away as well.
Well, Dom, thank you for the opportunity. I can't, it's great to have this. And for all the listeners, reach out. We're here to help you. We'd love to work with you and solve your employee solution, or be the answer to your employees solution out there. So looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, sorry, I have to back up for 1 second, because you know how I said, click on an email and it'll take you somewhere, it'll take you somewhere else, and then you don't know what'll happen. Let me just follow the bouncing ball of how I finally got to meet Clay Mitchell. I met Doug Haig. Doug Haig introduced me to Amanda Conger. Amanda Conger introduces me to Adria Salvatore. Adria introduces me to Angelo. Angelo introduces me to you. So the power of, call it, picking up the phone, meeting great people who are having an impact in this world and carrying it forward, it's incredible. And also taking a second to thank those people, which is what I'm doing here, is crazy, because all it takes is reaching out to one person, and then all sorts of opportunities open up. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody I just mentioned there, and an apology to anybody I missed, because I'm sure I missed somebody. Because you're going to ask who introduced you to Doug. I'm scratching my brain on that one. But all the way back, somebody came from somewhere else, and that's what we need to do with our students as well.
Yeah.
All right, Clay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great talking to you.
You too. Thank you.